The village was quiet that evening as 16-year-old Amina sat under the mango tree outside her parents' small, crumbling home. The air was heavy with the scent of the approaching rains, but inside Amina, there was only fear. Her mother sat beside her, wringing her hands anxiously, glancing at Amina as if trying to find the right words. Her father, who'd usually be by the fire or telling stories to her younger siblings, was nowhere to be seen. Amina knew he was hiding. He couldn't bear to face her. Finally, her mother broke the silence. "Amina, my daughter, you know we don't have much. It has been hard, so hard to put food on the table, to buy medicine." She paused, struggling with the words, before finally looking at Amina, tears in her eyes. Mzee Jabari came with an offer. Amina's heart sank. She had heard of Mzee Jabari, an older man from a nearby village. He was wealthy, everyone said, and a man of influence. But he was also nearly 50, twice her age. She felt a chill run down her spine. "But Mama," Amina whispered, her voice trembling, "I don't know him. I don't love him. How can you ask me to leave? This is my home." Her mother placed a gentle hand on her cheek, a tear escaping down her own face. "Sometimes, my dear, life does not give us the luxury of choice. Jabari has promised us enough money to send your brothers to school, to fix the roof, and to pay for everything we need. Please understand." Amina's heart shattered as her mother spoke. She looked around at the faces of her younger siblings, at the small, broken home that held all her memories, and she knew her parents had already made their decision. The wedding came and went in a blur. It felt as if it were happening to someone else as she was dressed up in elaborate jewelry and colorful fabric, her friends whispering around her, trying to cheer her up, though she felt a deep emptiness inside. As the drums played and the elders chanted blessings, Amina felt like she was drifting farther from everything she knew, from everything she loved. The day after, Amina arrived at Jabari's home. It was larger than anything she had ever seen, a sprawling house surrounded by high walls and grand gates. But it felt cold, empty, and strangely lonely. Jabari barely spoke to her. He was distant, always busy with his work or in meetings with his friends. He didn't seem to care that she was there, except to tell her what to do. The days turned into weeks, and Amina's loneliness grew deeper. She felt like a stranger, a shadow drifting through the halls, with no one to talk to and no one to share her worries. One day, she summoned her courage and went to speak with Jabari, hoping to at least find some understanding or friendship in him. "Jabari," she began softly, standing in the doorway of his study, "I wanted to ask if I could go home to visit my family. Just for a day." He looked up, his eyes hard and impatient. "Your place is here now, Amina," he said sharply. "You are my wife. Do not trouble me with foolish requests." "But I miss them," she said, trying to hide the quiver in her voice. "I haven't seen them in weeks. I feel so alone here." He snorted, waving a hand dismissively. "Lonely? You have everything here, food, clothes, a roof over your head. You should be grateful, girl. In time, you'll learn what it means to be my wife." Amina felt a mix of anger and despair rise within her. "But I didn't choose this," she whispered, the words slipping out before she could stop them. "I wanted to be with my family. I don't even know you." Jabari's face darkened. He stood up, towering over her, his voice cold. "You will learn, Amina, that life does not care for your wishes. I gave your family what they needed, and you are here because of it. This is your life now. Accept it." With that, he turned away, dismissing her as if she were nothing more than a piece of furniture in his grand home. That night, Amina cried herself to sleep. The walls of the grand house felt like a prison closing in around her. She thought of her family, of her mother's gentle smile, her father's quiet strength, and the laughter of her little siblings. She missed the feel of the dirt under her feet, the scent of the mango tree in the evening, and the warm embrace of home. As the days passed, Amina became more and more determined. She knew she couldn't keep living like this, trapped in a loveless home with no one to care for her. She needed to take control of her own fate. One night, under the cover of darkness, Amina packed a small bag with essentials. She dressed in simple clothes and quietly slipped through the halls, her heart racing as she avoided the eyes of the guards. She had no idea how far she'd have to walk or what dangers lay along the path, but she felt a surge of courage she hadn't known before. This time, she was choosing her own path. As dawn approached, she finally saw the familiar rooftops of her village. Her heart pounded as she walked down the familiar road. Her parents' home came into view, and her mother, who was gathering firewood, dropped everything when she saw her. "Amina," her mother cried, rushing to embrace her. "What how?" Amina felt a swell of relief and sadness. "Mama, I had to come back. I couldn't live there. I felt like I was dying inside." Her father appeared, his face a mixture of worry and guilt. "Amina," he said, his voice filled with regret. "Do you know Jabari will come for you?" "I don't care, Baba," Amina replied firmly, the fire in her eyes unyielding. "I would rather face him here than live a life I did not choose." Her father looked at her, then nodded slowly, a glint of pride in his weary eyes. "Then we will face him together, Amina. You are our daughter. We will protect you." And as her family gathered around her, Amina felt, for the first time, a true sense of strength. She knew that challenges lay ahead, but she was ready. This time, she would fight for her own life and for her freedom.